And while I'm working on activating my camera and just dealing with um just dealing with some procedural matters this side, I wanted to say, Clinton, I heard you saying something in your opening remarks that when we are done with this session, some people will feel contented. I don't think so. I don't think so. In this session, we fire up people. When you end this session, you will be very unhappy with yourself. There is no contentment. So please delete that word that Clinton told you, that you'll be contented. Because our job here is to fire you guys up. You go out there and you change the world. And people who change the world are never contented. Even when they are doing well, they stay late past midnight trying to figure out what else are we going to do for the world to make it a better place. So this is a session where we fire you up to be happy with your life, but be dissatisfied with what you're doing by believing you can continually make things better every day. Never reach a point where you feel contented. And so what I'll do is, because we want to make this interactive if possible, keeping to time and just focusing on the subject matter that we have been instructed to focus on. What I would like to say, first of all, is that I'm excited to be here. And these are the things that actually make me get a high, talking about innovation, entrepreneurship, secrets of starting a business. I like when people come and ask me, okay, even so, what are your suggestions about a business like this one? Can we start this business? And what goes into a business? And I love all of this because I didn't read this stuff in books necessarily. I read books, I do, but most of the stuff I'll talk about here, I've done it and I'm doing it every day. The people who hang out with me on almost a daily basis, people like Regan Nyadimo. I don't know if Nyadimo is here today, and he knows, he can almost even predict what I'm about to do in terms of suggesting new things out of the blues. And I'll just take you through how you can go about this yourself as a person and make yourself the type of innovator, entrepreneur that actually could make a difference. So I hope by the time we are done here, all of you guys are going to be really, really fired up and feeling that you want to go out there and change the world and make a difference, not just for yourself, but make a difference for the world. But remember, you also have to make a difference for yourself, because after going through a session like this, what we want to see is you starting to change your life and having a better life just in a few years down the road, and then also making a fortune and changing the lives of other people as a result of a session such as this. And I'm very proud of all of you who turned up today, because it's the people who have appetite for knowledge from sessions such as the one we are having here that eventually make it in life. Because if you talk to the people who have made it, they'll tell you that I attended this course, I attended this seminar, I attended this free webinar, and these guys talked about this idea, and I just followed the lessons that they taught. And look, in just a few years, my life has changed and I'm a better person. So I want you to have that mindset as we go through this session. And I have a question for you. Whereas we have put out here the accidental entrepreneur, really, I want to be clear with you that really in life, there are no accidents. You've got to define clearly. You must have a plan, because if you don't have goals, if you don't have a plan, then the road you are on will take you anywhere. And as they say, you can't hit a target you can't see. You have to define your target for you to hit it. So without a plan, you have no targets in life. Therefore, you're not going to hit any target. And therefore, your life will remain maybe empty and very dissatisfying. As they say, life is too long to give up early, and is also too short to be derailed from what you are most passionate about. So I want you to know, we use this accidental entrepreneur maybe to draw your attention. But the mistake that people have made nowadays is that people have assumed that because of the progress humanity has made, there are so many difficult problems that many founders of so many things have solved. The guys who discovered flight, the guys who discovered many, remedies for treating different diseases, the guys who discovered things like the internet, all of these guys solved complex problems. And then all of us are here enjoying these things. And we are assuming that the future will just be fine. And we never lay out plans to achieve for ourselves. And there's a problem there because we are assuming that things will indefinitely work. We have indefinite optimism, which is very dangerous. We are supposed to have definite optimism. Definite meaning defined. You have to take a piece of paper, write down the things that you want to achieve over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, and follow your plan. Pay the price of what it takes to achieve your goals. And I think that's the right way to live your life. And down the road, normally they say that people who do that, they encounter opportunities along the way that, turn their life into things that they never even dreamed of. So I have a question for you before I go to the next slide, which is what valuable business is no one building? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Is there a valuable business or is there a valuable service that no one is delivering? Is there a valuable company that nobody is actually building to solve problems? I love talking about companies and businesses because you see, I look at companies and businesses like operating rooms where ideas come to life and ideas die. Because, you have to keep evolving your ideas as time changes, but you must always be faithful to your company because it's your operating room where you're going to create the future. And your company should always be asking itself in the next 10 years, if you have a company that is operating and you have customers, ask yourself, what is it that will make my current customers to leave me and go and seek services from another organization? You need to ask yourself that question. And the reason why they leave, it is because you're not keeping a hand on the future. You're not willing to think about change. You want to assume that your more successful idea is what will be there for the rest of time. That is not true. And especially if you are in a technology space, most of the things that are tech-driven are actually going to change in the next 2 to 5 years, and you'll become irrelevant if you do not change. So I want you to think about this question: what valuable business is no one building? Now, this is an interesting slide. I've just tried to combine something I want you to think about. Some of you guys have left college. Some of you are working. I really don't know your backgrounds. But first, I wanted to just share with you the vision of Capable. Our vision is a professional competency development leader and a value creator for Africa. We just want to create value for this continent using tech space and where possible in person. And that's why you'll see in the coming months what we are doing, in the larger East African region. And then our purpose is to provide unlimited opportunities for learning and empowerment of people. So this purpose is quite massive, and we are really inspired by it because we want to give people unlimited opportunities for learning. And that's why when you come to Capable, you find that really Capable is a knowledge emporium. This is a place where, for instance, this Saturday, we are having a convention for kids' money. We have about 200 kids convening to just hear about money skills for kids. And then this same Saturday, we are meeting about 150 guys who have just graduated from campus. And we are using the Ichanuka platform, the one you are on tonight, to challenge these young people about how radically the future is changing, how now things are changing in the business environment faster than ever imagined before. The former CEO of JD.com, Mr. Richard Liu, said in one of his pieces that he wrote that in the next 10 years, we are going to see faster and greater changes in how technology is used than we ever witnessed over the last 100 years. If you think about a statement like that, that's very serious. That's very serious. And so what we are going to do is provide these unlimited opportunities for learning and empowerment of people. There's a professor who complained in the local media here in Kenya the other day that actually he has 24 certificates. I think, I don't know, 6 degrees, 4 master's degrees. I think he has 3 PhDs. And he said that he's earning less than $1,000 and he's wondering why that is happening. And actually success is no longer about papers. It is about the value that you're creating. And because this session is about business and entrepreneurship, we want you to think about how you're creating value. You'll find that a guy who has one certificate in engineering and working for a company, maybe a milk processing company, fixing maybe those machines, is earning maybe 5 times what this professor is earning, because that guy, the engineer who is fixing the machines for processing milk, is so critical to that business in ensuring that all of us here will get our milk at the supermarket. And that supply chain will be disrupted terribly if this engineer doesn't get things right with the systems for processing milk. And while the engineer has only one diploma certificate from a polytechnic, he will earn 5 times more than the professor who has got 24 certificates, several degrees, masters, and PhD certificates. So I want you to think about that. Now, I've put here this thing here to your right, what we are calling the top skills, okay? And the skills groups rising into prominence by the year 2025. The year 2025 is just 2 years from today. 2 years. We are in the year 2023, count 24, count 25. Now, these are the group categories. I'm going to show you at the end of this presentation the specific skills that are going to be relevant by the year 2025. And the sad part for you when I show you that list at the end of this session is that you realize what you perhaps studied at university is not listed. It's not listed. And it's not sad. It's just that we have to challenge ourselves. Right now, the skills you're acquiring, you need to operate like, I don't know if you've seen, there are guys who sell fuel for your car, and they tell you that if you put this additive in your fuel tank, then what it does that it increases the octane level of your fuel, and therefore that fuel becomes lighter with a higher octane. It even, cleans your engine. And ideally, what you need to do if you have a degree in something, I don't know, some guys did medicine, others studied, Bachelor of Arts. Think of whatever you learned in school. You have got to have an additive that refines it so that it fires the engine like crazy. The way, these petroleum companies are selling additives to make the engines, function more efficiently. That's what these skills groups here you're seeing on the slide are going to do. So what is the World Economic Forum saying? And I'll show you the detailed listing. This report was published in 2020, and they're saying that critical thinking and analysis, complex problem solving, and self-management skills are the skills of the jobs of the future. And that's why if you're coming from university and you want people to chase you around to tell you to do your work, you don't do self-study every day to increase your skills so that you can be more valuable, so that your employer is even afraid to release you. If you don't commit to continuous learning and discovery of the new skills that will make you successful, then let me tell you, your employer without blinking is going to fire you, and they'll have no regrets. Because sometimes what they normally say to employers is that, is there someone in your team whom if they left the company, you will not feel anything? In fact, you might be relieved. Please don't make yourself that type of person. You need to every day think about the skills that you'll need to succeed in future. So I'll come back to this later on because we have a listing of those skills in a very specific way in the final slides of this presentation. So what do you want to achieve? What do you want to do in life? So if I ask you right now to write down what you want to achieve, what are your goals in terms of business, in terms of success over the next 5 years? I like to plan in blocks of 5 years, 10 years. I just want to ask you, if you're employed now, what are your plans for the next 5 to 10 years? I want you to tell me, but don't tell me, just write down if you have a piece of paper. This is a serious exercise. So if you're not writing down, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to write it down, because if you don't write it down, then you'll forget about it. And the next thing I want you to do is that I want you to write down the price you're willing to pay to achieve whatever you have written. Whatever you want to achieve, write down what will it take? What price are you willing to pay to achieve what you have written that you want to achieve? And finally, bullet number 3, I want you to do what we call idea storming. And this is like a methodology for coming up with ideas for solving a particular problem. So how idea storming works is that after you write down what you want to achieve, maybe you say that, by the year 2025, I want to increase my income, my earnings by this amount. Maybe per annum you're earning $1 million, and you're saying that you want to earn now 10 million by the year 2025. You need to write down everything you need to do to achieve that. And in idea storming, what you do, and this is a study that was conducted, and if you follow what I'm about to tell you, then you're going to get there. So this study showed that when you're doing idea storming, you need to write down 20, not 5, not 10, not 15, 20 possible things you can do to achieve what you said you want to achieve. Take a piece of paper and start writing from number 1. It will be easier to write the first 5, but the next 5, which is 1 to 10, the next 5 will be much difficult to come by. The remaining 10 will be even harder. The last 10 things that you need to do to achieve your goal. So you need to idea storm. And sometimes you write down things that may not be very clear that you want to do to achieve your objective. But nevertheless, you need to write down those things. And you have to complete the list of 20 ideas that you think can help you to achieve your goal. Maybe your goal is financial success. Maybe your goal is to change your lifestyle. Maybe, become a more responsible person. Maybe you're in the habits that are, derailing you from achieving your purpose in life. So you need to do idea storming. And I want you to try it. And once you have those 20 things, go through your list, and you'll find that there are those things that carry the greatest weight. Pick 2 or 3 to start with and start implementing, but keep your list of the 20 things you need to do and keep reviewing it and enhancing it and work on those things. But pick 1 or 2 more significant, refine them, and start doing those things. And remember, success in life really is about your daily agenda, what you do every day. The guys who dream, I want to do this, so these are the things I'll do, but they'll never act on the things that they say they'll do. Your daily agenda, you have got to do something small every day. If there's a subject that is giving you problems, data analytics, if you have a problem with handling social media, if you want to learn the skills for writing proposals for funding, you study those subjects, and you have got to do the studying every day. You have got to study those subjects every day until you master them. You become good, and people will even start calling you a genius. But it's just because you invested your time and energy. The problem is that people really love to procrastinate. But what you don't realize is that they say procrastination is a thief of time and opportunity. And before you know it, you've run out of time, and your friends who followed the path of taking action on what they need to do, they are way ahead of you. You start even saying that these guys are actually washing some money, or maybe they're Illuminatis, but it's because they acted. They acted on the things they needed to act upon for them to become successful. So really what I'm giving you are just some principles for you to think about. So you need to plan. Like I told you at the beginning, you cannot hit a target that you can't see. You have got to define what you want to achieve from the very start. Now, set your goal because you can't hit a target that you can't see. So ideally, what we are telling you here is that you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan, even if it's lodged in your head. But bottom line, you need to have a plan, because if you do not have a plan, then that is the beginning of failure. So you must have a plan. And the next bullet, what we are trying to tell you is that, if you observe the most successful people, the most successful organizations, the most successful companies, 12% of their success is the ideas they have. And 88% is excellent execution. It's pointless for you to say that, that idea they're implementing, actually I had it 3 years ago. So what did you do about it? Right? And if you have an idea today, I promise you, in a few weeks, in a few months, you'll come across somebody actually who has the same idea. And they always say, it is better to execute excellently than to be fast. You can be the first person with an idea, but if you don't follow through with good execution, somebody else who is better at execution will come after you and outdo you by far. You'll never even be able to compete. And that's why when you even read books on strategy, they say that a good strategy comes from a good leader who has a great vision. And to achieve the vision, they have got to have a good strategy, which is really just a roadmap for achieving the vision. And that strategy must be accompanied by innovative culture, because you have to innovate every day. Because if you're not innovating, then you're dying. But if you're innovating, you're getting born every day. So you have got to have that posture where you're getting born every day. Therefore, you are innovating. Now, after innovation, then what follows is tactical excellence in execution. You have to execute excellently. Because if you don't execute excellently, if you're giving a service, then even your customers, the end users are going to be unhappy with your product or your service. And I'll show you why it is important to be great at execution. Because when I start discussing some innovation strategies in the subsequent slide, you're going to see why it is important for you to execute excellently. So please remember that statistic. Then finally, on this slide, I wanted to let you know that 3% of the people make plans and implement them, and the rest work for them. I don't know where you are or where you'd like to be. And, there's nothing wrong with working for others. But, you can work for others and be a top earner. That is fine. I would go for that. But the reason why you are a top earner is because you are a great guy at planning. You must plan to succeed. That's why Jim Rohn says that, the guys who say, they just pay me a small amount of money. They only pay me, $300 per month. And the question is, are there people in that company who actually earn 20 times what you're earning? The answer is yes. So really, the $300 they pay you per month is what the company is paying you. It is not what the company pays. The company is paying you that because you have not multiplied your skills by 20. When you do, they might as well panic and just, triple or even multiply your pay 10 times. So, but for you to get there, you have to work on yourself. For you to work on yourself, you have got to have a plan. So this last bullet applies to you as a person. You must have a plan to develop yourself to succeed. And when we gave you that topic, the accidental entrepreneur, what we had in mind is that if you want to succeed at anything as an entrepreneur, remember, an entrepreneur can also be an employee in a company. They like to call it intrapreneur, because let me pause for a moment and define for you what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is a system of thinking, and I like to call it innovative thinking. Entrepreneurship is a system of innovative thinking for creating relevant solutions for people, and those people are willing to pay for those solutions at the price that you charge. But sometimes you can innovate and not charge anything, because you have got these philanthropic entrepreneurs. They will have a system of thinking, innovative thinking, to create relevant solutions for people's problems and offer them for free. We have a few philanthropists who actually innovate and deliver for free. But then those who want to start a business, like the accidental entrepreneur we referred to at the top, the definition has got to follow that when people love the innovative solution you gave, now you start charging a fee, they're happy to pay because you're solving a problem for them. And that's the whole point of entrepreneurship. And you find in organizations, you have entrepreneurs employed. There are people in organizations who are actually creators of innovative solutions. Even though they are employed by the organization, they are still entrepreneurs. So an entrepreneur doesn't have to be that guy out there, operating, in some private space. It could be somebody working even for a government organization. But they are top creators of unique solutions that add value or solve problems for people. So I don't know who among you are employed somewhere and you are an entrepreneur. In academics, they like to call that type of employee who is an entrepreneur, intrapreneur. I don't know why that's necessary, but anyway, that's semantics. I think you got the meaning of who an entrepreneur is. And, if you go to our kids' money class, you'll find that those kids, all of them know this definition of head, and they'll take you through a lecture of how entrepreneurship works, and you'll just be mesmerized. So on the left, I'm telling you, think fast, then think big, then grow rich. Everything draws from thinking. And those kids who leave campus and they get the first job, they take a bank loan, they want to buy, a brand new, car. so that they can flow, with the boys in the estate or in the city, so they look like the part. I don't know that kind of thinking, whether it's going to lead to very good places. Then before you know it, there's a crisis, COVID hits, people are being fired. And after COVID, because of the economic fallout, many companies are not rehiring. And then this guy has a loan, he's not able to repay, and the bank comes and the bank takes the car away, and they sell it to someone at a throwaway price at the auction. And when you think of that type of example, you see that guy was thinking, actually, when he went to take that loan so early, he couldn't wait to work hard to earn. And we normally, I really like to reference kids' money because we talk about assets and liabilities. And we give examples of liabilities that you should not assume. Liabilities like the one I've just described here, which can land you into serious trouble. But let me move away from that and just come back here to this slide. What we've done here in this bulletin is to show you what you need to do. First, you need to think. You need to sit down and think. The problem is that people don't take thinking seriously. People think that thinking is something like just air. It's some intangible thing that you cannot tell people to engage in. But thinking is serious business. It's the most important business of a human being, to think. And that's why guys like Napoleon, I think it's called Napoleon Hill, he wrote a book, Think Big and Grow Rich. That guy, and that book has been recommended by so many successful entrepreneurs and leadership gurus and the entrepreneur, experts. And you see, I think that gentleman couldn't have just come up with a title that was encouraging people to think. So we challenge you to think a lot, because a lot of people don't think. And you'll know that when you give people an assignment to do, and they'll come back to you with some really mediocre stuff. It just tells you that the thinking is not happening. But when you are talking about entrepreneurship, we follow this. When you're thinking, you need to align discipline to the thinking, because you have got to have disciplined thoughts and evaluate carefully what you're thinking about. And at this juncture, I'd like to actually define for you discipline. What is discipline? Discipline is simply knowing your responsibilities and acting on them. That's simple. That is the meaning of discipline. So if I stop here for a moment and ask you, tell me your top 3 responsibilities in life. What are they? Are you aware of them? Can you write them down? And if you can write them down, do you act on them? So you see, we have got disciplined thinking followed by disciplined action. So without discipline, you're going nowhere. Because someone once said that if you want to succeed in entrepreneurship, actually, discipline is more important than motivation. You normally see at the beginning of the year, guys are motivated. Yeah, my New Year resolutions. Now my New Year resolution is to exercise and, cut weight, that kind of thing. I'm going to change my diet, But, 2 weeks into the year, they already dropped that plan. I don't feel like, can I have some fries? I really feel like pizza. And discipline doesn't exist. The motivation was there. Discipline means you'll do it. It's like a routine. And you need to have a good routine, like a routine such as reading every day for 30 minutes at a minimum. Whether you're happy or not, you still read. That's a good way to be disciplined. Discipline means if you have a program for physical exercise, you do it. No excuse. You do your 20-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour walk twice a week, if it's long enough, but the light walking daily. So you need to address the discipline element in your life, because even if you come up with a plan and you lack the discipline to implement it, then I'm sorry, you're going nowhere. You're going to fall flat. There'll be nothing for you. Number 3, decision-making. George Marshall says that every leader, the most important thing about successful leadership is the ability to decide. You need to make decisions, make good decisions. And they say that a good decision made in the wrong time frame is a bad decision. And I really love, there's the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he actually published a formula he uses for decision making. So he actually has what they call type 1 and type 2 decision making. And so type 1 decisions are really those decisions where those are really, really important decisions. You really need to do consultation. You really need to do due diligence. You really need to assess the consequences. You really need to understand, if we go forward with this, what are the implications? And you have to look at that decision very carefully and in a very detailed way. That is what we call type 1 decision, like committing, like let's say, $100 million to a software acquisition. And you haven't even checked with the user departments. You haven't even checked what else is in the market that could be cheaper or more efficient or more effective than this. You haven't even checked the reputation of the vendor who is supplying you. You haven't even checked the comparative cost of acquiring such software. Then once you sign the contract and commit, and you have that binding arrangement, and you discover that this will not even work for your organization, you can't go back. It's too late. You will pay. You're going to lose that money because you'll be sued, and you'll pay plus damages. Then we have type 2 decisions. Okay, let me give you another example of type 1, which is actually choosing a life partner, the spouse that you live with for the rest of your life. Take time. Don't rush. Take your time. I consider that a type 1 decision, going by that philosophy from Jeff Bezos. Then we have type 2 decision making, or rather type 2 decisions. These ones are easy. You go to a supermarket and you think you like the cake. You ask the guys, can I have a piece of that Black Forest? It costs you just a small amount of money. Any loss that you make on that spend, if you don't like the cake, has no consequence at all. It's so immaterial. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to buy it again. It's like saying that, let us change the format of our communication memo to our suppliers. When we give them an update, let's shorten the memo and just focus on the message rather than going into the details because people are too busy. You'll find there are people who are confusing such a decision as a type 1 decision. They want to go and consult the board. And yet you're just doing an experiment. And if your suppliers like how you're communicating in the new way, then you continue. If they don't like it, you just go back to the old way. It's a type 2 decision. So let me not go so much on that. So you need to be a good decision maker, and you need to develop your decision-making skills. Decision-making skills is actually one of the serious and significant qualities of a good leader. And then you need to develop your ideas. I'm coming to that slide where we are looking at how you work on your ideas when you're innovating. And it's good to test your ideas, what we call calibration of your idea, and test it at a scale that costs you very little. It's like a small experiment. If it is working, that's when you scale. So test your idea. It's important to test. Talk to your customers. Ask them, what do you think of this? Sometimes when you're starting an idea, your customers may not even know they need what you are trying to work on. So it's good to use feedback from customers, but sometimes you have got to create the future for your customers, because sometimes the feedback from customers will exclude some of the innovations that you'll come up with, and people will fall in love and say that, oh my God, I never thought of this. Now, before you innovate, innovation is the solution itself. Innovations come from ideas. So you have to have creative ideas. You test those that work. Those ones that work are the ones that transition into innovations or solutions. And you launch those innovations and you start solving people's problems. And there's so many problems to solve out there. You just have to sit down, think. Number one is thinking, and think daily about your ideas. You'll always find something that people will need to use. And then there are situations where you need to protect your innovation. So there are always legal mechanisms for protecting ideas, protecting formulas, protecting, brands, so that people don't abuse your innovations, your intellectual property. Because you see, these innovations, many of them are what we call IP, intellectual property. And so for a country like Kenya, we have got a law that is governing intellectual property rights. And there's an institute of government that is responsible for that. And if you go to their website, it's called KIPI, Kenya Institute of Property and Intellectual Rights. Then you're gonna find all the guidance that you need to protect your ideas, innovations, discoveries, and all the things you create. And you don't have to protect everything. There are things that you don't protect. Like if you go and buy a water pump to supply water to a village, You don't have to protect that idea. You just need to be very good at supplying the water so that more people come to buy water from you. And then ideally, what you've done here, you're creating value for the people. Now you can even charge. You can promote your idea. People enjoy it for free and they fall in love and they're like, no, I can't do without this. And they start now paying for it. And you charge a margin, a profit, and down the road. And I like people who think more seriously, even invent monopolistic ideas. Monopolistic creations are those ideas that don't exist. You create the idea, turn it into an innovation. You come in the market and you're the only one who is supplying that. And you can actually charge, a monopolistic price for it, and you earn crazy profits. And so one of your problems normally is not worrying about your customers. Actually, it's good to have monopolistic ideas that no one else can actually hack, so that you just enjoy that blue ocean alone, right? So you spend most of your time now dreaming the new future rather than crafting ideas to fend off your competition. But to achieve that, you have got to think more. You have got to think creatively, spend more time thinking. I'll always go back to thinking. And then ultimately, you achieve your purpose. It's good to always define your purpose in life, because at the end of the day, one day you look back and ask yourself, if I measure my life, am I satisfied that my purpose was achieved? So let me give you some ideas about how to innovate as we move, because we're heading towards the end of this session. And I'll just mention this. We'll have a session in future where we'll go deep and even do some practical illustrations of how this one's work. So we have what we call the woodwork strategy. And the woodwork strategy is that don't go out there telling guys that this solution is here and it works. What you need to do is that create the solution, you use it. Use it and make sure it's working. Don't go creating things and giving others to use and you have never used. Even in your organization, tell guys to use it and let them tell you whether it makes any sense. Or even to you, use the solution. And then you'll find it has problems, fix them. And people start to realize this thing is good. And people just start coming out of the woodwork, wanting you to give them that solution. And before you know it, in a month, a year, the numbers are growing. And you're always advised, when you come up with an idea and out of the woodwork, people love the solution you have created, you need to concentrate on gaining a monopoly in a small market. If you have a way of building a monopoly for just a small market, it could be an industry, it could be just a few organizations that normally utilize, they are from a certain industry and you have a solution. Try to build a monopoly for a small market. And with that, you start to gain advantages, because the moment word starts to spread about your solution, it snowballs into success that could even drive you crazy. Then we have got what we call the next bench syndrome, where you guys, you're here thinking, creating ideas and innovating solutions for people to use. And then guys, on the next bench, they see you guys enjoying something really nice. And they're like, no, we have to join those guys. Maybe you guys are listening to good music and guys in the neighborhood want to join you. And, before you know it, it's a party. So it's the same thing with innovation and creativity. Create the idea. The guys on the next bench and on the next bench and on the next bench will be coming running to you saying, oh man, can I join in on the party? And you tell me, yeah, we just charge a small fee. Here you go. If you can pay this, then you can enjoy the service. And then, as I said earlier, always calibrate first. Calibration simply means you need to embrace empirical innovation. I'll give you an example of calibration. You see, in the ballistic industry, when people are being trained to shoot with a gun, you are taught how to aim, and you have got these guns that have got a system that helps you to calibrate so that you are closer to the target. And you may shoot the first time and you miss the target, and you calibrate again, and the next time you shoot, you hit the target with that single bullet. And once you have mapped, it's like you have mapped the path that the bullet should use. Once you have scientifically mapped that, path, the direction, the gradient, the speed, you can now go for a cannonball, which is more expensive. Cannonball can blow up even a ship or a building. And if you just shoot a cannonball without having calibrated the target, you lose that cannonball, yet it's very expensive. It costs, tens of thousands, while a bullet, just costs maybe, you know, $100 or something. And you shoot, and the cannonball blows up your target, and you beat the enemy in their own territory. And you see, you calibrate it. It goes the same way for creative ideas. Go out there and test, see how it works. And you see, if you look at the most successful companies, they do calibration of ideas, and you find that a lot of staff suggested so many ideas, and a lot of ideas were actually killed because they couldn't deliver what was expected. And some ideas are changed or evolved so that they can come closer to responding to a market need. And once the company is satisfied, or you are satisfied that this is working, then you pump in the capital and say that now we can pay and invest in more research, invest in the rollout. You saw what happened with the technologies we are seeing on AI and all that. Some companies put in some money, and when they realize that this thing seems to be working, they're now putting in hundreds of billions of dollars to just make sure that the investment can be accelerated so that they can reap the benefits and maybe even enjoy a monopoly before the other players come in. Remember, you can't enjoy a monopoly for too long sometimes, because they say, especially in the tech space, if you go by the Moore's law says that technology will actually double and even become less costly every 18 to 24 months. And that's why you find that the technologies that were so expensive just a few years back now are available almost for free because of Moore's law. Now, second last bullet, build a monopoly in a small market if you can. I want us to discuss this in detail in the next class. The reason for building a monopoly is that once you saturate that small market with those customers believing in your idea, it is so easy then to expand, because first of all, you have got a foundation already. In terms of finances and revenue, you are doing really well in that particular market, and you have got the muscle to even now expand into the other markets within your country or even beyond the borders and go into the diaspora and spread your idea. And remember, when you're doing all of these things, you will still make losses initially, but if your idea is primed for success, you'll be successful. And what we would like to discourage you is having the short-termist attitude when you're going into entrepreneurship. You need to plan for success to happen maybe 5 to 10 years later after you launch your idea. But you have got to be prepared every day to examine your idea or your innovation. Keep improving it every day. Listen to the feedback from your customers, because course correction is central to entrepreneur success. You have got to course correct as you go. You can't say that this is how we started it, we can't listen to anything. You've got to keep changing and refining and turn into the direction that will make your idea and your company the most successful. And remember to leverage technology. Today and now, if you're not leveraging technology, if you're not embracing the use of technology, then actually you are destined for extinction, like the poor dinosaur, right? So technology, technology, technology. Always ask yourself, can we automate this process? Can we automate this idea? Whom can I speak to? Who in technology do I know? You don't have to be good in technology, you as a person, but in your network, you know guys who are so savvy in tech, and those people are so many. Speak to them, partner, find a way to bring guys who understand technology into your space and ask yourself, what can we automate? What percentage of our processes should be automated and we have not automated? So leverage technology, technology, technology. If you don't do that, I'm sorry. Actually, you are preparing for your demise. So finally, let's just run through these skills before we call it a day. This is a report that I referenced earlier on in this session from the World Economic Forum, a study that was done in the year 2020. And it lists actually the skills that will be needed by the year 2025. These are 15 skills. And we'll just go through these skills and you'll tell me if what you studied in campus is listed. And I want you to go do further research after this session about the skills that will be in demand in future, and tell me where your future is headed after you go through this. So firstly, analytical thinking and innovation. Can you imagine how much time I've spent in this session on thinking? And now I hadn't even gone through this list, and the number one skill is analytical thinking. My people, I don't know if we are together. If there's anything I want you to live with, is to start thinking seriously from tonight. Okay, you'll say that Evans is offending us. How can he say that we are not thinking? I don't think you are thinking so hard like you should. You need to be thinking more. Don't drive yourself crazy. What I'm saying is that you need to think creatively about life, about the future. Think about the future, because we are going to live in the future. I normally tell guys, myself, I work in the future, and I hope I can work in the future, for the right bosses. Some bosses are bad. People normally run away from their bosses, and I'm one guy who will be very happy to walk away from a bad boss. And so you need to start thinking. I want you to think about the future, because that's where you'll spend the rest of your time and life. So number 2, active learning and learning strategies. When I told you to read every day, I meant it. The problem is that some people never take advice. But simple advice like learning every day and reading, if you could just follow that, your life will transform in such a short time, you'll not believe it. But people don't take that advice. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. In my village, they say if you have such problems, then they go and slaughter goat and perform a ritual. Then you start following such simple advice, like reading every day. Then the other skill is complex problem solving. The people who are very good at thinking and solving complex problems. And remember now, complex problem solving will also rely a lot on AI, because AI, remember, has got the capacity to actually mash more complex data and information than the human mind, and come up with scenarios, trends that we as humans may not have even figured out. And then we just rely on that data, or rather those trends, those patterns, those scenarios that have been generated by technology, then to map a strategy for our business and say, okay, this is the direction now we'll need to take. The other skill is critical thinking and analysis. So you saw in number 1, we have analytical thinking, the ability to analyze. Then number 4 is critical thinking. This was a common unit at university. I don't know if it's still there. And critical thinking means you don't just say yes. You need to ask yourself questions and even challenge ideas coming even from your superiors, if it is safe to do so, because there are many places where there is no psychological safety, because they do not embrace cognitive diversity. And in such organizations, normally they don't go far, because if organizations could embrace success that is driven by the superiority of ideas rather than the position and title of whoever is involved in the thinking process, then number 4 will be very successful, because there are guys who don't entertain other people coming up with better ideas than them, and that can be a problem. But remember, it is always good to think for yourself. Don't invest too much in opposing crowds who may be even in the wrong. There's a guy who wrote that actually it's better to be fanatically right about something important than to be fanatically wrong about something important. Being fanatically wrong about something important is like Galileo, who was killed for being fanatically right about something important, like the fact that the world is not a flat surface, the universe, or rather the earth, right? And those who actually killed that guy were fanatically wrong about something important, because these guys were just pursuing a dogmatic, a cultish kind of thinking. And when you engage in dogmatism and cultism, then you start missing the truth. You don't discover anything new, and you end up really messing. So it's good to respect facts, truth, evidence, and logic. Number 5, creativity, originality, and initiative. I really like number 5, the last one, initiative. There are guys who don't have initiative. They're waiting to be, whipped in order to move. You gotta have initiative. Motivate yourself to do things. And then originality, produce some original work and tell guys, this is not even on the internet. Go and Google it. This is my original work. People want to copy paste. It's good to learn from others, but you need to use that learning and experience to create original things, guys. Lawyers God did not create you a copy, created you an original. So you better be original yourself, even in your thinking, and be creative. We spend a bit of time today speaking about creativity. Then leadership and social influence. Remember, they say that leadership is the ability to influence. And I think we need to cover this topic, leadership, one time, Clinton, if you can hear me, so that the audience here can also learn quite a few fundamental lessons about leadership. So leadership will be an in-demand skill. As they say, leadership is influence. Leadership is your ability to catalyze the commitment by a team to a compelling vision and vigorously pursue its effective and efficient success or actualization, thereby raising the standards of results or performance. That's leadership. But let's leave that for another session, because this is a whole topic that we need to discuss. Skill number 7 is technology use, monitoring, and control. Learn how to use technology. You can't learn all the technology. Pick an area and be a star in that area. Learn how to use social media. Pick, if you want to be on YouTube, become the best guy on using YouTube. Or even you can pick the best way to monetize on Facebook and LinkedIn or Twitter, and be so good in it that you even just start flowing with it. If you are good in coding, because coding comes with territory, practice it and become the best. Practice it and become the best. And then monitoring and control. You have got to check what's happening. When you set goals, you need to monitor and have control so that you're able to keep the ship moving in the direction that was intended. And finally, final slide, technology, design, and programming. Remember, we've talked about technology, but we are talking about technology design. Because see, for technology to solve problems, creative people have got to design how that problem will be solved using technology and programming. And I told you, you don't have to be a programmer. There are a lot of programmers in town or out here. You need to look for them. They say that how come some companies are more successful than others, yet all these companies operate in the same market with the same, pool of consultants, with the same, restrictive government policy or supporting government policy, with the same media houses and media channels that can be used for marketing their ideas, with the same pool of people from where they can recruit, management trainees. How come some excel at what they do than others, yet they all have the same equal opportunity in the market and space where they work? You need to ask yourself that question. The other skill is the ability to be resilient, especially during tough times, or prepare for the difficult times. Stress tolerance and flexibility. As a person, you need to develop those skills in number 9. Then reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. Number 10, you've got to think, be a thinker, be able to reason. I mentioned logic earlier on, looking at facts, evidence, data. But I'm not throwing out your ability to use judgment, intuition, and gut to just feel that this thing may not work. And if you study negotiation and psychology, you'll find that actually there are people who are so experienced, they can use intuition actually to tell that actually we shouldn't hire this person. There's something that's missing. You need to develop those skills. Emotional intelligence, the ability to connect with people at an emotional level. Every human being is emotional. Please always remember that. And the way you deal with human beings, you need to remember that, never forget. We make mistakes, all of us, in how we deal with other people. We hurt people sometimes, unintentionally or intentionally. But if you want to drive a team to greatness, you have got to master emotional intelligence. Number 12, troubleshooting and user experience. The ability to identify where problems are, troubleshooting, and understanding the user experience. That's why I told you earlier on, when you say you have innovated an idea, you use it, and we see if you're happy with it. If you love it, then you can introduce it to the other people. But there are some solutions that you may not use. So find somebody who can use it and build it for them. If they're happy, then you've just passed your first exam to being successful at innovation. Then you need to be service orientation. You need to give quality service. Nowadays, the world is so sensitive about service, customer service. Be good service oriented. Because right now, customers are ditching their suppliers just because of a delay of 2 hours in responding, because there's another service provider who is actually ready to provide the answers these guys are looking for and even deliver better quality service than you. So service orientation goes hand in hand with speed and dependability. Then finally, number 14, I think we have number 15 also there, system analysis and evaluation. And then finally, persuasion and negotiation. Negotiation is really critical. Your ability to negotiate and get things done, because they say that life is actually negotiation. The entire life, your life is negotiation. And again, maybe we'll need to have a session on this. So in closing, I just thought I share with you this slide to just show you the world's top most valuable brands in 2023. Number 1 is Amazon. I think all of you know Amazon. And then we have the others. We have Just a moment. We have Amazon, we have got Apple, Google, Microsoft, Walmart, Samsung, ICBC, Verizon, Tesla, TikTok. And I'll tell you one thing. First of all, these 10 companies, you'll find that out of 10, actually, I need to find out about ICBC. All the others are known for technology. Actually, a company like Amazon is purely technology. You know what Amazon does. I can't go into that because we would have to speak about that for a month. The same goes for Apple, Google, Microsoft, Walmart. Walmart actually, they're actually in retailing. But if you look at their business model, actually it rides on technology. So the point, I think we have a lesson to pick from Walmart, which is that, you know, no matter the business you're doing, remember, you'll need technology to drive it to success. So you have got to embrace technology to succeed. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. But the overriding factor here is that if you look at these top 10 companies, just 15 years ago, you would find your Coca-Colas, you would find your, maybe, I don't know, FedEx or something. But look at the list here. What does it tell you about technology? I leave that to you because I've got to observe time. Oh yeah, I'm done. So I wanted to just show you this slide before we take a comment or two from you or a question. And what I want to show you here is that Capable, we are offering this. And if you're thinking about, if you are thinking about your retirement, and we normally tell guys, think about retirement even before you graduate from university, because a lot of guys have been caught up and they're shocked by what's happening out here. And retirement is getting harder and harder because people, because of inflation, some people have lost jobs, some have got salary cuts, reductions. They don't have enough money to build retirement capital. So a lot of guys retire broke, very broke, and all their friends run away from them. And many guys, they actually die from depression because, you know, the shock of feeling so lonely actually kills a lot of guys. So this program is targeted at people who are employed, those who have retired, those who are about to retire, and even young people who want to learn about how to prepare early for retirement. Because, you know, if you don't plan early, especially now, I think things will really get tough. And you know, the race currently in the world for people to concentrate wealth using smart, you know, thinking, using technology will mean that that 1% that they normally talk about at UNESCO, that the global wealth, 99% of it is concentrated in the hands of 1%. We'll continue to see that trend happening. But the few of you guys who are here, you need to just cross the Rubicon and join this other side. Then we have got team building. I have a question for you on team building. If you are employed, I want to ask you a question. If all of you who are employed in your company stopped working for your organization today, would you still talk to each other? Okay, go think about it. Then we have kids money here. I won't go into this. You need to teach your kids about money early enough. This age ranges from 7 to 18. This Saturday, I told you we have got a convention for kids, the first one by Capable. We are building this product. By the year 2027, we are going to give you feedback because we will launch Kids Money officially in 2027. But so far, with the convention happening this Saturday, and we have got a smaller group of 100 for those guys who are in campus and those who are graduating, I think we are on course to making a difference by challenging these young people to help us have our founders for the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and the likes. So at this juncture, I'd like to stop, and I'd like to invite my colleague, Clinton, to just take us through the question and answer session so that we can call it a night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, FCA, and for such a profound session you've taken us through. And I'm really glad to maybe, as we are psyching up for the questions, and let me read some of the comments from the chat section. Edison is saying Walmart leveraging technology to set the standard in logistics management. That's in reference to technology bit where XPA stressed on how technology is changing the business. Sorry, and he also adds, Edison says again that excellent EQ, that's the emotional quotients, will take you further than IQ, intelligence quotients. And he also adds that obsess over your customers even know what your customers needs before they know they need it. That's very powerful there. So let's say we are welcoming question, and if there are any, then trying to look at if there's another comment. Yes, Edison also says that also characterized as one-way door, reversible, and two-way door decisions reversible. I think he was commenting. Then Boniface is saying, can we? Yeah, Boniface, we can have you get some of these materials, but it's unfortunate that we don't have all the recordings in the YouTube, but we have got the PPT presentations that we'll share with you via your email, also including this the ones that FCA just used right now. So I'll give us space to ask a question if there is one. Yes, if you have a question, you're free to unmute and type it in, or you can even write it.
Yeah, Clinton, yes. Let's give Edison a chance. Edison, thank you so much for joining. Edison, I don't know if I should disclose to your audience your influence on Capabit, but you go ahead and speak first.
Yeah, thank you, Evans. I just want to say thank you for setting this class in the evening. I've not always been able to join because of time difference. I can tell you it's very powerful. At Amazon, we always say leaders never stop learning. You never stop learning. We have leadership principles, and one of them is to learn and be curious. And they say leaders are never done learning, and they always seek to improve themselves. They're curious about new possibilities, and they act to explore them. So joining sessions like this, just listening in, you learn a lot of stuff. And this was amazing, and I've learned a lot. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Those who don't know, I work at Amazon. I'm a tax manager at Amazon and the global headquarters here in Seattle. And as Evans was speaking, I was listening to a lot of the stuff you're saying, and I was thinking, this man is channeling Jeff Bezos. He's an innovator. He's a creator. And I just want to add my voice to a lot of the stuff you said. Even in the hiring process at Amazon, they don't hire you because of where you went to school. They hire you because of what value you can create. What skills do you have? Can you demonstrate that you can improve our processes? Can you invent and simplify? Can you think big? You know, can you show that you're obsessed about our customers? Stuff like that. So thank you. I have no question. I just wanted to say how awesome this is in terms of my ability to be able to join because of time difference, and the quality of the content is high value. It's inspiring. But then, so one last thing I want to say. So in order to succeed, you need to be initially, you need to be inspired, like Ivan said, so that you need to be motivated, but motivation won't really bring you success. So a presentation like this will kickstart you, will shock you into thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing with my life? So it's gonna motivate you to start. But after you start, you have to be consistent and disciplined. Evans used the word discipline. That means you should be consistent. So you want to work smart, hard, and be consistent. And if you allow me, can I give an analogy real quick, Evans?
Please go ahead.
If you have a minute, let me give an analogy of, let's say, for example, let me give you an analogy of a person who is out of shape. They want to improve their fitness. When they go to the gym, the first day, they go work out and they come home, look in the mirror, they won't see any change, right? You won't see any change. You go the next day, you go for a full week, you won't see any change in the mirror. Okay, does that mean it's not working? No, it doesn't mean it's not working, because 3 months later, you will see that you look different. You look different, you're now in shape, but you cannot pinpoint at what point that change happened. And the same thing is true of everything in life. You just want to go to the gym and work hard. Yes, you want to go hard, but then you don't just go hard at the wrong exercises. You want to make sure you're doing safe exercises, effective exercises. And that's what we are calling smart. You want to work smart and then be consistent. And consistency means you want to do things that are not only manageable, but also effective. So those are two keywords. You don't want to do stuff that you can't really accomplish. If you can't accomplish it, then you're going to fail. But if you're not doing enough, if you're not going hard enough, then it's not going to be effective. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, so Edison, thank you so much. We love you. You're an amazing person. And I don't know how to say thank you enough. Edison has really inspired us. He just schooled in some rural village in Kenya, in Western Maragoli, where he went to primary school barefoot, carrying cow dung every Friday to clear the floors of the fleas and jiggers.
Without
and then,
a mother.
Then goes to without a mom, and then ends up at KU somehow, completes his BCom, and he gets 3 job offers. He picks one, works there maybe for a year, then leaves for the US, completes CPA America, completes MBA in America. He has worked for some of the biggest brands, Anderson. There's this coffee company, then
Starbucks.
Starbucks, and then ends up at Amazon. So guys, I hope that inspires you to also if you work on yourself, like I told you, you can achieve anything. Nothing can stop you. And if you're here and you are younger, then, or you just left college, or you are young by the definition of young, then you can start now and become the best that there can be. So Clinton, we can take maybe one more question, but I saw a question in the chat. Let me answer this one quickly. And Moya Austin is asking, I want to ask Evans, did entrepreneurship find you, or you found entrepreneurship? That's a funny question. I would jokingly tell you that actually entrepreneurship picks me, but I have to be more serious now and tell you that you can learn any skill. And I can tell you in my life, when I found that there's a skill that I'm weak, I would give myself a timetable and I work on it every day. And because I needed the skill to use it, and then things just fall in place. Like the other day, I realized I'm not very good at writing funding proposals. So I've been studying funding proposals, and I've started now understanding the things that should go into a funding proposal. I see myself being one of the best funding proposal writers by the end of the year 2023. And so what I'm telling you, Moya, is that you can learn any skill, including entrepreneurship. And my challenge to you is to attend this particular Aichanuka session religiously without fail. So Clinton, if you could handle maybe 1 or 2 more questions, then we can end the session.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and for such a great insight. I think, and also for Edison for such that addition. I don't see any question right now, and any comment where I say thank you. Regan is saying congratulations, Evans, very powerful. He is moved by the 15 skills that you just gave out.
And Clinton, could you announce the next date, please, if you could?
Yes, yeah, sure. I'm coming there, and maybe so that I don't forget it and that doesn't slip my mind. Our next training will be about maybe to iterate. Look how we
just repeat that. We didn't hear clearly.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you. At Chanuka, we function under 3 main focus areas. That is modern leadership and data analytics strategy and entrepreneurship. On our next session will be about modern leadership, and the specific topic will be a wonder leader. That is the leadership versus management and why it matters so much. And the date will be on 13th of April. You can sign up for the session, and as usual, we'll get the best of the best trainers or the best speakers so that we can continue to gauge and our understanding and get more of this as time goes by. So just keep your eye on the sessions. Keep your eye on everything that we are doing. At Aichanuka, we also value your feedback. In case of anything, just reach out to us through the number that we are going to share thereafter. Then don't forget to go and access your certificates through our website. You've shared the code there. That's 170. It's a unique code that you're going to use to access your certificate for this session. For the subsequent sessions, also for the past questions as both is raised, we are going to share the materials through your emails. That's for the previous session and also this one. But it's also fortunate that we have recorded this live. You can also go check this through YouTube and review it. go through it again, get what you didn't get well during the session, and also share, like, and subscribe, and as we grow together. Otherwise, thank you so much. Yes, Boniface, I can see your hands up.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. I know it has been a while, but we appreciate you guys for the good work you are doing towards shaping the leaders and the entrepreneurs of the future, and also to prepare them, the young one, the kind of skills they need to align themselves with if they want to succeed in the future. I only have one concern, maybe I wanted to ask. Because so far, Mr. Evans has mentioned some of the skills that we need to align ourselves going into the future, and analytic being one of them. So I've not heard of any analytical session. Maybe is it in your plan for this time, let me say for this from December? I don't know, it is running up to when. Maybe for this period, is analytic part of your, maybe in your plan? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Boniface. Yes, even actually the last training we had before this, that's on February, we talked about data analytics strategies for your business and startup. You know, it was unfortunate that you didn't attend it, but we can still avail for you the materials. And the next, after April, we'll have got Get Smarter, and we talk about data analytics strategy for your business again. Then when you go to October, we also have another training session for data analytics secrets for successful businesses. So everything is well catered for in the Achanuka calendar. And with all the constants coming, with all the recommendations coming from you, we are going to really improve it, to really customize it to meet your own needs as our team. Let me call it that. So don't worry about that. It's going to be there the way it has been there. Then Lucia Cott is saying success. So it's also impactful session there. Yes, Regan, I can see your hands up. Then you can.
Okay, so thank you very much, Evans. That was one of the best training that I've had today, and the topics that you've handled is actually one of the biggest trending topic in the world. So remember what happened to Silicon Valley? That is the Silicon Bank. It's near collapse, and then what is currently happening in terms of the stock exchange, where we had one of the biggest losses since March 2017. That is because the Fed Reserve that hinted on increasing their interest rates, which led to a number of investors selling their stocks. But having said that, one of the most trending thing as we speak is the chat GDP. I want the team that is here to actually think about it. What do we do? What did we learn in school? That is, we amass a lot of knowledge, read a lot of books, theories, and then we memorize them. Then what has ChatGPT came to do? It's actually now the in thing where it can actually write an amazing academic essays in seconds, which means it's actually taking what we used to do back in school. So the most biggest question I'll ask the team that is here today is that where does the ChatGPT places all of us in terms of what we do and where the world is unfolding? So if ChatGPT can do whatever humanity is doing, then where is our next phase? So I want you to think of that question as you look at the 15 skills that Evans have actually highlighted. Then the int is in that space. So thank you, Evans, and thank you, Clinton, for bringing this to this discussion to this place. And I want to thank everyone who made time to be part of this process. So back to you, Clinton.
Thank you so much. I hope we are not closing out anyone. And I think at this juncture, I'll be glad to say that we've come to the end of the session for today. Until next month on 13th, talk about leadership. We are free to exit our own. We don't worry about the materials; they will come through your emails. Thank you so much. Let's meet some other time. Bye.
Bye.